Everyone, and welcome to blog 43 of Tackle the Feelings Before the Behaviour. And this blog is a follow-on from blog 42, where I talked about emotional safety and how to gain back control. This one is called how to create emotional safety for children. This is a bit different to creating emotional safety for yourself, where that is almost like you're reparenting yourself. But with children, you are doing that for them. And it's actually your responsibility and your role to create emotional safety for children. You're not going to get this 100%. It's impossible to do things perfectly as a parent, as a person. There's no such thing as perfection. What you can do, though, is understand emotional safety and what it is, and then know how to create it, especially preempt situations that are going to create a lot of upheaval for your child, anxiety in your child, where they feel unstable. Knowing how to bump things up and having those strategies and having that way of being with your child that promotes emotional safety is going to do a lot of good down the track. So, similarly to adults, emotional safety is when you're feeling out of control, when you don't feel like you've really got a grip on things. And it's a real sense of desperation. And with children, what you will get often is acting out. And you get behaviors that are just so difficult to manage as a parent, as a teacher, as a carer, as a person in the same room as the parent and the child, whatever the case may be. It looks like your child is a terror and they're going to turn into some sort of mass murderer. A lot of parents in my job will say, I'm so worried, please tell me he's okay, that he's not going to turn into some juvenile delinquent, because that's how it's looking. He's really, really angry all the time, tantrums, behaviors, and pretty much 99.9% of the time with these really chaotic behaviors and destructive behaviors and acting out and clinginess and all of that, it's when the child is insecure. What you would say attention-seeking behaviors, that is insecurity. That is when the core emotion is fear, and we need to create emotional safety as soon as possible. That is what needs to happen. So a lot of us do this quite naturally, so don't go stressing. It's okay, but we can really be mindful about it and do it so much better if we know that that is what we're doing. Because it's quite simple in terms of strategies. It just takes some getting used to breaking patterns and dynamics and getting your head around things. And most of the time when you have slightly anxious children, you have slightly anxious parents, and that's okay. I don't know many parents who don't have some anxiety, because parenting is hard, life is hard. A lot of people are walking around anxious and stressed. Whether it's a disorder or not, I don't know. People are all different, and it's nothing to be ashamed of. I am very open about the fact that I have an anxiety disorder, and I work on it, and I've managed it, and I do the healing work for it. So it's nothing to be ashamed of. It's something to heal and work with. So when you are wanting to create emotional safety for children, you are wanting to validate and name that core emotion, fear. And this is quite confusing for a lot of parents. When I say name emotions, you don't have to name them in these adult ways. You don't have to say you are feeling emotionally unsafe and unstable and insecure right now to a 3-year-old. That's not within their realm of understanding. But you can, by naming it, you can say, I know it's difficult for you. I know you feel X, Y, and Z about this, that, and the next thing. So I'll use an example that I know that you don't understand where Dad is today, because he's working longer hours on the weekends now. And I know that that's really disappointing, because you wanted to spend the day with Dad. And so they're feeling insecure because Dad's suddenly not here and he used to be. And now the child's acting out and really going crazy to Dad because he doesn't want him to leave, and manipulating everybody, and it's driving everyone nuts. And it's we need to put food on the table. Can't he understand that? No, he can't. He's 3. And it gets into this way. So when you're naming that, it's naming the situation and helping them to identify some of those feelings in age-appropriate ways. It's hard. It's scary. You're upset. Upset is a great word. And then when it is something quite understandable, it's scary. It's scary to feel that way, or you feel this, that, the next thing. But the core emotion, fear, is for you. And as they get older, you'll teach that. The more you teach the emotions, the more they'll start associating that for themselves. It's for you to know what to do. And when you have fear, you want to validate that. It's okay to feel what you feel. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be angry. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. It's okay to feel jealous. Whatever you're feeling, it's okay. And it's normal. I feel that way sometimes when. Or do you remember that your sister did this? Or you want to make it normal. You want to make it acceptable for the child. You really do. It's okay to feel that way. We all do, and we all did. We all went through this. Let's make it okay so there's no embarrassment and shame in what they're feeling. Then you want to go into reassurance that it's going to be okay. And that's when you take the story in the context of the situation. Following on from if dad's working weekends and long hours now and the child's struggling to adjust and is acting out and all of that, the reassurance would come in by helping him to understand. Helping him to understand that this has nothing to do with him or her. Nothing to do with their love. And that dad will be back when he'll be back, and explain the situation. Explain it as much as you can without saying, we're struggling financially, we could lose the house. No, you're not going to do any of that adult stuff, but you are going to explain as best you can in a way that they understand honestly. Don't lie. Children know when you're lying, and that is the number one thing to try and avoid if you're trying to create emotional safety. Be as genuine as you can. And then strategies, which is preempting. So I always say preparation. You want to do that emotional work with them, teaching them about emotions as much as possible. I always go back to my second blog, my second video, which is just an activity to teach kids emotions, the emotion book. Just do something along those lines. Watch videos or read books. Talk about it. Name it when you're feeling certain emotions. Help them to understand it. Prep work. What we said before, naming those emotions, helping them to understand what they're feeling. Then you want to validate that it's okay. Make it normal. Make it that you're okay with them feeling what they need to feel. Then you want to reassure it. So you're reassuring and you're explaining the situation. Then you want to do some things on the sidelines, and that would be to boost up your routines and your structures in the homes and the rules. Make things tight so the kids know where they're going, what happens if they don't do this, what happens if they do, what happens at what time, and help them to understand. Maybe you want to point things out on the clock at this time when this hand goes here and this goes here, then we're doing this. We do this because explain things out. You want to be consistent. You want to be as consistent as possible. And often this means making sure that you and your partner, your husband, your wife, or other people in the home helping you care for the kids are all on the same page. The rules are the rules. What helps to sit down, I do this with families, and we sit down and break it down. We sometimes include the kids. What are the rules and what happens if we break them? And that's consequences. It's not punishment. You also want to be able to up that quality time, especially if there's changes. If there's a big change, you really want to be making things as consistent as possible, bringing things in that you used to have around the house and bringing some of the old stuff into the new stuff and all of that. But you really want to work on that relationship with you. If there's some separation anxiety, give the child something of yours to help them feel connected to you. A little something of like a little piece of jewelry or a little fluffy toy that each of you have, or a little note that you've written, or a scarf of yours or a glove of yours, or something to help them feel connected to you. Understand that they're feeling insecure, they're not feeling safe. They need that connection. They need an increased sense of connection. And so you also want to just give them a little bit extra love, a little bit of extra tenderness, a little bit of extra time during this time to help them feel safe. You don't want to force them into too much. Let them express and feel things the way they do, and teach them more adaptable ways to express themselves. With anger, if they're old enough, use your words. Use your words. It's okay to feel angry. It's not okay to hit. It's okay to feel sad. It's not okay to pull all the flowers out of the pot or all of this. This is what we do when we feel sad. We might want to go and hug a pillow, or we might want to cry, or we might want to scream into a pillow, or we might want to talk about it, or whatever we want to do. You teach them other ways. When you're scared, you might want to tell somebody that you feel scared, or you might want to talk about it, or you might want to draw a picture, or take your deep breaths, finger breathing. So anything like that, you want to teach them how to do it instead, and really help them to feel that it's okay. Because what they're probably really feeling scared of is the intensity of the emotions and not knowing what's going on. So it's your job to help create that safety. Creating safety is really just helping things feel in control. You want to help them gain that sense of control. If you're constantly doing things for your child, they will grow a dependence on you. If they're not allowed to make mistakes, you just buffer everything so much for them. Helicopter parents. This is when anxieties peak for children, because they have this dependence, and when they're on their own, because you can't be with them all the time, they feel incredibly anxious and incredibly incapable. So a lot of this is going to be managing, are you allowing them to fall down and pick themselves up and build that resilience, or are you trying to bubble wrap? With all the best intentions, I know that's something that I really toy with. How much is too much? But really, you do want to help them. You want to look at it like holding their hand, guiding, creating outside things to help them feel safe. So when they're out in the world, they've got that foundation. They're not doing maladaptive coping mechanisms like lashing out or pushing people away or biting their nails down or lashing out, breaking things, whatever the case may be. You don't want to encourage those coping mechanisms. You want to help them regain that control, reduce that anxiety, and feel emotionally safe. So I hope that's been helpful. Please ask questions in the comments if you need to, and subscribe to my channel if you like what I have to say. I hope you have a good week. Cheers. Bye.